If you remember Remy fighting cats, taking on snakes, and smacking baby birds with a McDonald's fork, then you grew up playing Ratatouille the game. But which one? Because there were 8 completely different versions released, and in this video we're going to compare each of them. There's a lot to get through, so let's get straight into it. We begin with the flagship version released for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. Just like the movie, the game begins at the old lady's house with the first level acting as a tutorial. This is a pretty standard platformer, although unfortunately Remy feels pretty imprecise to control. Also, the jump in this version is pretty bad too. There is a double jump, but it can actually be lower than the regular jump if you don't time it right. Remy does also have melee attacks which he can use on his fellow rats. Damn you, father, you never supported my love of cooking. Hey, remember that time in the movie where Remy got absolutely f***ed up by some baby birds? Come on, Remy, stop doing the bullet time and get through that bloody opening. There is also a bunch of special platforming sections like rope walking or pole jumping, and most of these are mapped onto the circle button, although this being an early PlayStation 3 game, it also tries to push the 6-axis gimmick. Luckily, you can turn it off. Plus, Remy can also smell his way to objectives. I will say, despite the annoying gameplay, the environments are actually pretty well done. They took the Toy Story 2 approach of tiny characters navigating around ordinary environments which now look huge. The tutorial ends with this long chase section away from the old woman, the first of many giant humans chasing Remy in this game. Remy then arrives in Paris and we begin the main gameplay loop. There are 4 main open hubs where you have to do a bunch of smaller missions that lead to the main one, kind of like a heist, and these always end with a chase. Now, it's not a bad concept, but the game pads things out quite a bit by forcing you to run around zones collecting these stupid charms while listening to the same 3 lines of dialogue from Force Ghost Gusteau.
He's getting too far away!
You'll also encounter a bunch of small animals which Remy has to beat up. What's that? Huh? Yeah, that's what I thought. Ah, crap, it's throwing furball projectiles. As the game progresses, the platforming becomes more and more tedious. As I mentioned, many of the special events are triggered by the circle button, but half of them just don't work the first time around. This version also follows the story quite loosely, focusing on the main beats and then doing its own thing. Excuse me, do you need help cooking? Oh, damn it! Look, there's no in-between animation here either, it's just a jarring cut to the game over screen. Also, I think the health and safety inspector is going to object to there being a cartoon mouse hole in this kitchen.
I'm in over my head here!
Yeah, you see, the problem you have, mate, is you're not actually cutting the carrots. You also have this sewer hub section with all the rats that you keep returning to throughout the game. And if you're wondering, no, Remy can't swim. In fact, the water is bouncy. You do get a few cooking mini-games, but they're all very basic. I'd say the chase sections are probably the highlight of this version for me, just because of all the crazy stuff happening around the environments. Oh no, Skinner sent out his army of crabs and watermelons. And this final chase on the restaurant floor looks like the scene of some terrible calamity. That's right, the rapture is happening, but at least the food critic is enjoying his meal. And speaking of biblical events, there are also a bunch of single and multiplayer minigames that you can unlock. I know there's supposed to be dream sequences, but this one just looks like Remy has to avoid tiramisu on a conveyor belt up in heaven. Okay, that's it for the HD version. But before we go any further, I wanted to take a moment to thank this video's sponsor, Surfshark VPN, the easiest way to protect your privacy and get the best internet experience. With industry-leading encryption, Surfshark keeps your personal info private. Whether you're banking, shopping, or just scrolling, it helps shield your activity from trackers, snoops, and data harvesters. And it's especially useful on public Wi-Fi, airports, cafes, hotels. These networks are all wide open. But one tap with Surfshark and you've got your secure connection even in the sketchiest of places. And the best part, one account works across unlimited devices. Plus, there's also Surfshark Alert, which checks if your email or passwords have been exposed in data breaches and lets you know fast. So if you want real peace of mind online, then head over to surfshark.com/Flandrew or use the code Flandrew at checkout to get 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN plus a 30-day money-back guarantee. Thanks again to Surfshark for sponsoring this video. Okay, back to Ratatouille, and next up we have the last gen version released for the PC, Wii, PlayStation 2, Xbox, and GameCube. That's right, this was one of the last GameCube games ever released. Now, this version took the Force Unleashed approach, meaning that it followed the same genre, style, and level structure, but it's a completely different game designed for the last gen hardware, and it actually kind of does a better job. Straight away, the platforming, movement, and jumping feels so much better. This is actually fun to play. It also starts at the old lady's house, but this tutorial level is a lot more linear and straightforward. It's all about collecting these apple cores. You still have elements like the tightrope walking, the sniffing for directions, and the dashing sections, but they are much better designed. Plus, you actually get unique death screen animations in this one. Just like in the last one, the baby chicks are still Remy's mortal enemy, but now you can grab a spoon and wag them out of existence.
Let me show you how to defend yourself.
Emil, you're really starting to freak me out.
There's no old lady chase in this one, instead Remy has to paddle down the stream to try and keep up with the other rats. This version also has the high structure that's split into 4 main zones, but it executes it a bit better. There's a lot less forced collecting to pad things out, and the smaller missions you do actually connect to the big one at the end of each section. The mini games are also better, and there's a bit more variety to them too. That being said, there's still a bit of jank to this version. Wait, what's going on? The dog's caught me, but it's not doing anything. Is it a telepathic dog? My favorite part of this version is Remy finding the special cheese, smelling it, and then having an out-of-body experience where he's transported into literal French food heaven. You also have the chases at the end of each section, but I think these ones have a bit more life to them. Here is a comparison of both. Okay, now let's move on to the handheld, starting with the PSP version. So this one is actually set after the events of the movie. Turns out Skinner has stolen all the recipes, and it's up to Remy to go through a bunch of levels to find them.
It took forever to create those recipes. Now how will we create new ones in time for the opening?
Well, maybe you should tell your stupid friends to make backup, sacre bleu! This one is another platformer. When it comes to gameplay and level design, it's definitely its own thing, but it leans a lot closer to the PlayStation 2 version, meaning the gameplay flows well and Remy is responsive to control. The camera can be a bit annoying though. The game is split into 5 main sections, each one broken up into about half a dozen levels. There is also a sewer hub connecting all of them with a little store where you can buy upgrades.
I got some good stuff for you.
The first section is set in the apartment, and these levels really do remind me of Toy Story 2 with the furniture, the critters, and the bathroom. Plus, Remy can swim in this one. Oh Jesus Christ, what kind of rooftop garden is this? We've got spiders, caterpillars, and cobras?
Ow!
This section ends with a Skinner chase, which is similar to the other 2 versions, and there is this homage to Mario where you can eat a golden mushroom and become temporarily invincible. This is followed by the sewer section, which ends with you taking on a massive tortoise boss. We then get the marketplace shopping section. Ah, look at what's her face ogling the cakes. Again, I'm not sure the health inspector's gonna approve of these giant sleeping rats amongst the pastries. Next is the rooftop section. Right, I didn't expect this from a kid's game. Lady, you wanna stop watering the plants and take a look at the pest problem you've got behind you? Many of these levels will require you doing tasks and errands for your fellow rats in exchange for the recipes. Plus, these later levels can actually get pretty tricky. For example, this section ends with Remy having to take on these 3 crows. And the final section takes place in Skinner's new restaurant. What is that? Oh no, Remy, don't step into it. Oh, and now it's getting everywhere. The game ends with another Skinner chase and then a boss battle where he has unlimited numbers of forks and tomatoes up his sleeve. And if you get too close, he straight up punts poor Remy. That's it, take that! Oh my god, it actually worked. I'll say overall this is actually a pretty comprehensive 3D platformer, especially for the PSP. Okay, next up is the Nintendo DS version, and this is another 3D platformer. It takes a lot of the elements from the other versions like the rope balancing, the climbing, the ball, and the scent pointer, and adapts them to the DS hardware. And overall, I think it's done a decent job. I mean, there's nothing stand out about this version, but at least the developers didn't force you to use touch controls for platforming like many of the other licensed games. Plus, every now and then you will get these touchscreen cooking minigames. And speaking of minigames, there was actually a second DS game released only a few months later titled Ratatouille Food Frenzy. And this is a collection of touchscreen minigames. Yep, it's as generic a DS license game as you can get, I'm afraid. Which is why we're going to move on to the Game Boy Advance version. That's right, they made a GBA game all the way in 2007. But you know what? This one's not bad at all. In fact, it's probably my favorite of the bunch due to its charming 2D art style. This version is a classic platformer which also adapts a lot of the same mechanics from the 3D games, from getting across ropes to grabbing forks and using them to pole vault. The goal of each level is to collect an ingredient, and when you collect enough, you get this cooking minigame which is pretty full on. You've got to match the ingredients, move the pots, season them, all while keeping an eye on the time. You've heard of press F to pay respect, now say hello to press down to season. And if you do a good job, you get this follow-up section where Gusteau awards chef's kisses to your culinary creations. Oh come on, how can you not love this game just for that? Or the fact that you see a scene of Remy washing himself before every cooking section. Okay, that's it for the handhelds, but there were also 2 Java mobile games which deserve a quick mention. The first is a kitchen management cooking game which I just couldn't figure out, I'm sorry. And the second, titled Ratatouille Cheese Rush, is a simple top-down game where you control Ramy as he follows the cheese. He kind of controls like the old Snake mobile game, only with a slight drift. That's right, Remy is so thick his behind causes oversteer. And so there we have it, every version of Ratatouille, the game. Yeah, they certainly squeezed out a lot of versions out of this one. And this is a rare example of the last gen and PSP version actually being superior to the flagship. But that's just my take. Please let me know your thoughts and memories of Ratatouille the game in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching. Please consider supporting me on Patreon, and a big thanks to my existing patrons. If you've enjoyed this video, then please remember to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.